And I started to realize that there's more to this thing. So now I started to go down this financial education journey. And the more I learned, the more I realized I was lied to. Like, we're taught to go to school, to get a degree, to get a job, so we can then get a job and climb the corporate ladder. But wealthy people don't do that. Wealthy people are not working to climb the corporate ladder, they're working to own the corporate ladder. I didn't even realize that you could do that. Now, you can climb the corporate ladder and work to own the corporate ladder at the same time, but it's a different mindset, right?
Right.
Most of us are taught to get that degree so we can do one thing, climb the corporate ladder, earn a bigger salary. But if you only rely on your salary, you're just one step away from being broke. Because if you lose your job, something happens to you, you can't work, or your company goes down, you lost your salary and now you have no income coming in, and now what? You're scrambling for a job, maybe you have some savings to help take care of you.
Right. Or if you haven't been saving and you just spend on things all the time and you have no savings, then you're really screwed.
Yeah, you're going into credit card debt.
Right.
And now you're trying to figure out, how do you make things work? And by then it's too late. This is where you got to be proactive. And now I'm just like, this is crazy. Why was I never taught this? I was never taught about wealth. I was never taught about investing. I was never taught about this sort of financial education. But why aren't we taught this? And that's when I realized it's very profitable to keep people financially uneducated. It's profitable to keep people poor. But let's just say you're putting aside 25% of your income. So if you're making 40 grand a year, that's $10,000 put towards your savings and your investments. Now, what happens to most people is you say, okay, I realize this whole financial education thing, I'm learning about this investing thing, I want to get more aggressive, I want to do more of this. How can I do more? But that's when you're trying to now squeeze more pennies out of your pie. You try to go from saving and investing 25% to 30% and 35%, but there's a limited pie, right? So what you should be doing is thinking, okay, I'm making 40 grand, saving and putting aside 25%, fine. Maybe I can do more if you're into that, like, I'm gonna do whatever it takes, extreme, right? Which is fine. But the bigger thing is, how do I go from 40 grand to 400 grand and keep doing what I'm doing now? Because now if you get to from 40 to 400 and you save and invest 25%, that's $100,000. A lot more than the 10 grand you had before. You're still only living off of 75%. You have the same, that same percentage, but it's so much bigger. It's that growth mindset. It's thinking bigger. And now everyone's gonna hear this saying, how am I supposed to go from 40 to 400? Well, the first step is understanding it's possible. Then you start learning, then you start doing, you start making mistakes, and then you learn from your mistakes and you fix them. But until you break through that mindset and you realize that it is possible, I can do this. No matter where I come from, what I look like, what my background is, it's possible, but I need the right education. YouTube has made it so much more accessible. Read books, start learning, and then you start taking steps. It's not gonna happen overnight, but you'll start taking steps towards that.
Right.
And so it's about building that growth mindset of understanding that there's something that you can do.
We have to deal in things that we're capable of understanding, and then once we're over that filter, we have to have a business with some intrinsic characteristics that give it a durable competitive advantage. And then, of course, we would vastly prefer a management in place with a lot of integrity and talent. And finally, no matter how wonderful it is, it's not worth an infinite price. So we have to have a price that makes sense and gives a margin of safety considering the natural vicissitudes of life. It's a very simple set of ideas. And the reason that our ideas have not spread faster is they're too simple.